should remember Josh, the world famous tour guide, the tour guide of all tour guides. And we're about to see the, I don't know, we can call this like BluePrint 2.0, as everything in here is different.
Yeah, everything's changed over the last year. We picked up every piece of equipment that we had with the exception of the dynos and relayed it out. The goal of that really was to try to optimize our facility for growth. So engine sales are up, needs are up in the market. We've launched some new programs, and so everything has been relayed out to help us meet the customer demand.
And you built that giant addition on the back too.
Yep, so there's about 60,000 square feet that just got operational here in November of last year. It's already filled up quickly, and you know, we're excited to get in there finally and to be moving around in there.
But where, I guess we go, where does the process start now? We know where it used to start.
We'll go all the way to CNC. We just put in about $7 million worth of capital equipment, miles and miles of rebar and a bunch of concrete in place to make sure we had good support for the new system. We really enjoyed a lot of success with our first adventure into CNC, and now with the demand that exists not only inside our facility for engines but also for blocks, it presented an opportunity to make an investment and take even more engines and blocks to the market.
You know what's really cool is just to know that this many people are buying crate engines.
Yeah, it's amazing, you know, and the challenge that we have right now is we would like to be making even more, and so we're working on lots of challenges to try and get product out the door faster. And it seems like no matter how well we do at recovery, there's been more orders right there to take their place.
I think it's funny on a lot of the comments on the original video, or not a lot of them, but there's a good amount of like, what is this place gonna do whenever ICE engines go away? Like, one, they're not. Two, everything in here is made for cars that are older.
Yep.
So there's gonna be old cars in the future.
Cars aren't the only thing that use engines.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really where a lot of our growth comes from. You know, we do make a lot of engines that are put in vehicles. We also have a lot of industrial engines that we make too. And what a lot of people don't know is a lot of the base tooling for cranks and rods and heads and blocks and all that stuff. There's a lot of similarities between the two. There's different internal components, but you know, for what we make, it's not that big of a difference. So we really see a lot of growth. And as we see people focus on EVs, we think it presents an opportunity for us to make more internal combustion engines. $7 million worth of equipment. It should be operational here in the next couple of weeks. So last time you were here, that wall extended all the way across. So that wall came out. These machines have been set in place. We've had people from around the world help supporting it to get us up and going, from you know, people who built the equipment overseas to the people who came and set it up. And you know, one of the things that, I don't know if we talked about last time, but it's about 45 pounds worth of chips that comes out of a block when we machine it.
Really?
So, and that's probably on the light side. So by the time you take the block, rough it out, and machine it to finished specs, we're right around 45, 47 pounds of material.
Where does all that go?
A lot of that ends up in a chip hopper. It goes to a recycling facility where it can be recycled and reused. It doesn't really get thrown away. And so we try to do the best we can with not only regrinding and reusing tooling, but also making sure that we can recycle the chips. Been fortunate to have a good supply chain on blocks and block castings, and now as we go through and get that filled back up, that's one of the last big kind of hurdles that we had to get over to start producing more engines.
So you're gonna start your own foundry next door?
I don't see a foundry happening.
Do you have any cool new equipment in engineering?
We do. So we're making some adjustments. I'm actually going to take you over here and show you our new align hone. So our engineering team who built the first align hone that you had on your video the first time you come through, the same guys built like a bigger, badder version of that can run different variations of product, and it's actually loaded by a robot, so it helps with the automation. So as opposed to the original version, you can see this one's vertical, and really what that allows us to do is to get a different stroke length out of it. So we'll be able to run, you know, bigger displacement, smaller displacement engines. Same concept as what we had before on the align hone, But the robot, you can see, picks up in the main bore and the cam bore, and it'll pick it up, put it in place. That coolant will be going, and then there'll be another diamond mandrel that'll go through and do the machining on it.
So does it being vertical help like the horizontal distortion of the arm coming out really far?
You know, I'm not smart enough to understand that. My understanding of it is the vertical alignment allows it, like if you look at the fixed space on that one, if we need to change the stroke length on it, you don't have a whole lot of room to go, but we have a lot of room as you go up. So having the ability to adjust the stroke up and down is my understanding is on why we decided to go vertical.
That's interesting. So were you responsible for the new layout in here? Like, was that your job to figure all that out?
So our design engineering team, manufacturing engineering team did a lot with the layout. You know, my job lately has been to try to figure out how to get the right parts out to the team so they can keep building and get the most out of the layout that we have.
Did you have this many Rottler machines before?
We did not. No, we had a couple of TK21 Sunnin machines that were really good machines for us. But the Rottler gave us the capability to have it move from cylinder bore to cylinder bore while it was machining without having somebody there. And so part of our goal to increase more engines, we needed that type of flexibility to use the labor to work on other parts of the process.
Well, we're going to do a video with the Rottler factory pretty soon.
That'll be awesome. They've got some really cool stuff. So when it's doing the machining, you know, it's taking a look at the stock removal. There's an accommodation for taper, and Rottler has their own style program that allows it to operate like a CNC machine, but it's specific to their equipment. So from a flexibility standpoint and an ease of use, because we've used so much Rottler equipment, it's really helped us bring them online faster. Learning how to get the first one going is the toughest part. Then putting 2 or 3 in right behind it, you already figured a lot of it out. That are really cool. Around the plant, you'll see a lot more homemade, you know, workstations for the operators to help make it more organized for them. So like these guys will use the pistons to check the bore of the block. So they just have some master pistons here that they go through and check to see what they're doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of freeform carts in here now. I've had to build those before.
Yeah, we've actually got some guys that are dedicated to putting it together and designing it. And so for us, we've just tried to use that to help operators get what they need, and to put more, you know, options out there for the operators. Where now, you know, we've got a sub-assembly department in back that was a lot smaller. They can use those carts to fill it up with what they need and help keep the lines going better.
That's funny. My dad sells like helium leak detector systems, and he would sell them to GM in New York for their radiator and AC condenser stuff. And they used to have people that would put those together for them, and then they didn't. So my dad hired me to do it. So
did they have very good instructions for you?
They had no instructions.
Yeah.
I had to make it myself.
That's kind of how, you know, when you start out, you kind of learn with it. So we had, you can see kind of that block sized one over there where it's more of a rectangle where you can use the bolts and you can custom fit it. And now that you have the round pipe with the elbows, it takes a lot more precision to get everything to fit together well. So they're doing a really nice job with it. So we installing radiators the last time you guys were here?
No.
All right, so, you know, some of our product offering, we're adding cooling systems to it as part of our industrial product line. And so the performance brand is growing and doing really well, but on the industrial side, we're also have a lot of growth going on. And that's one of the new additions to what we're doing. You got a camera on a camera?
That's a big fancy camera. Oh, that had ABC on it. So are you doing more like whole drop-in packages now?
Yeah, the Builder Series is one of our fastest growing packages. So for years we built traditional long blocks. And you know, there are packages where you can buy the engine and the transmission and get them separately. But we found that a lot of people really like to get them installed. So we'll put the accessory drive on it. We'll put the transmission on it. We got a guy who does, you know, a handful of them every single day. So it's what he does for a living. And if anybody's ever installed a kit or a transmission, you know, like they don't all go on the same. So by having somebody here who does it for a living, he's gotten pretty good at figuring out how to make it a repeatable process for them. So they'll get installed on the table, we'll put the kit on them, put the transmission on them, and then when they're done, this is how it comes. So it will come already assembled. The owner of it won't have to do anything. And we're really proud of the fact that, you know, I haven't seen very many of those around, and I think it's a nice service that we can do, make it easier, because by the time you get to that point, like, you want to be driving, you don't want to be, you know, having to build parts of it together, and that's something that we've looked at.
For me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like having to shim your converter right and all that stuff, like that.
Yeah, we were talking about, you know, 10, 15 years ago, there might have been customers who wanted to go find all of their stuff. And now it seems like we live in the kit era where it's like, oh, I want that, let's get on Amazon. Like, here's 12 different versions of it, or here it is all in one kit. It's like that kit makes it nice because you're not chasing it down, and not everybody has the time to do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you look at the parts that we offer, we got the oil, we have different accessory components, and then we can send it to everybody in one package, and they don't have to do as much work as they would have to get that thing up and going. That 427 Ford has been a pretty popular engine for us. It's one of the items, you know, we're gonna have our own version of that block that'll be made for us, that we'll be able to machine here in-house in our new CNC equipment too.
Wow. Is that gonna be like soon?
Probably by the end of the year. The 302 Ford will be done first, and then the 427 will be behind it. But just the volume on the 302 is a lot higher, and it's a really popular engine. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have actually seen the new BluePrint engine in production, but this is our own block for the 302 family. So again, it's got some of our own technology and design built in it. Obviously, it's logoed for us, but these were items that years ago people were buying the core version of it. They were really popular. Cores started getting low or difficult to get your hands on, and it's something that we've invested in. It's been a really popular. I can't get enough blocks going through and pistons and everything quickly enough to keep up with all the potential that's there.
Are the blocks cast in the United States?
They are right now, yes. And when, you know, when you look at the supply chain, there are lots of different options that we have to consider, and so that's one of the things we have to take a look at is where's the best place to make it, what's going to have the most reliable supply, and when we get it in here, how is it going to machine for us? And these blocks have been really wonderful, and they are made in the USA.
What is that noise up there?
That ripple noise?
Yeah.
That's the sim test. Have you seen that yet?
No.
We probably didn't sim test a whole lot. One of the things that we do on these engines is, you can see he's got his compression gauge in there. He got warm oil in there. He's made sure that it's gone all the way up to the rockers. You can actually look inside of the cutaway. And so one of the things that we do when we run these is we'll run it, we'll check the compression on it, we'll make sure that it's within the spec from cylinder to cylinder. And so when he's running it, it's actually pumping everything as if it was running in an engine. You go ahead and run one if you want to. Yeah, if you want to get Popeye arms, they have gauges where you can do that by hand.
Yeah, my compression gauge isn't working right now, so that's why.
I'm not strong enough to do it. You probably could.
Is that machine what makes that sound in the other building from the airlines?
It could be. There are a couple of airline-driven processes that we have, so that's probably the one that's the loudest, though. There's no mistaking it when you hear it.
Good.
We even do that to all of our industrial engines to go through. So some of our industrial engines have flat tappet cams and lifter setups in them. And so we'll check the rotation on every single one to make sure they're rotating. There's a bunch of beauties right there too. You can see you got a couple of Sniper black fuel injected systems going on there, followed by some Dominator carburetors. So, you know, those are always awesome to see coming through the plant.
The most famous engine you guys have ever produced.
Yeah, the most famous engine that we've ever showcased. We don't produce it yet. We've had a lot of interest in it, and it really was just something to get people talking about it to see if there would be interest in it, and there's plenty of interest. So it's really exciting to see that many people talk about it as quickly as we did. I don't think any of us really thought it would catch that much buzz. There's still a lot to be learned about it. We've got some other projects to get through before we actually start getting something going on it. That is it. That is the engine.
This is the one from PRI?
That's the one that got all the attention.
Is it going to go on a little pedestal with a picture of Norris that says, I told you so?
Yeah. He could have a lot of those pedestals. This is going to be more industrial stuff. So this is what that engine actually looks like with the industrial head on it. You know, and you look at the technology, the design on that is, you know, you look at what you're actually able to do with that old technology and make improvements to it. And then our design team, you know, did stuff like designed the tensioner bracket into the timing cover. You know, the thermostat is actually designed into the cylinder head, and so, you know, it's got a mounting surface on it that in other applications would be a separate add-on. That's some of the cool stuff that the design team does, is they figure out a way to reduce the moving parts and try to get it to be something that doesn't take as much to assemble or put together.
If it's cast into it, that's one less bolt to fall out or get lost. Or...
Another, yeah, something that won't leak and that you got to seal up.
Does the industrial head have its own valve cover pattern, or is this shared from something else?
This is its own because of this head. It's a combination of a couple different designs, so those valve covers are made specifically for this application.
Interesting.
And there's the thermostat on there. So outside, so the team, you know, you got to validate the cooling package. We've hooked it up, we've got lots of runtime, and then there's a camera on it where our engineering team can monitor everything coming off of these, see if everything coming off of the port outs, and then they can actually watch it run from inside of the building.
So do you pour this pad just to test this thing out here?
Yeah. The potential on what it could do is definitely worth it.
That is a big fan. Sitting here on a rainy Sunday editing this video. Got it done now. Logan has been out of town since this past Saturday, visiting her family. So it's just been me. Pretty boring. I gotta make my own food. So I'm defrosting my good chopped chicken. This is from an integration we did in the bodywork video, but I'm gonna talk about it here too, because it's really freaking good stuff. This is like, I'm really excited to eat this, because that was legitimately the best chicken I have eaten in a very long time. I don't eat ribeye, so Logan took the ribeye from the package to her parents' house, and her dad, who's like a super picky meat eater, asked her where it came from because it was really good. She's like, actually, it came from here. Good job. So if you haven't checked that out yet, I'll put the link in the description so you can check that out. Like, I swear, if they don't want to renew doing ads with us, I'm gonna buy this stuff. Maybe I shouldn't say that, because then they won't send it to us. Maybe they would. I don't know. I would pay for it though. I hate going to the grocery store to get freaking meat, and it's inconsistent too. I don't know. I'm like a big tin hat person when it comes to that stuff. I don't want stuff that has you know, added hormones, chemicals, pesticides, you know, all that, you know, the whole glyphosate thing. I'm aware of that. I want to live to be 120 years old, so I'm trying to be picky with what I eat. And Good Chop does not use any antibiotics or added hormones on anything they have, whether it's beef, chicken, whatever it is. I don't know if you guys knew this, but you can look up the number on a chicken package and it will tell you where it was processed. So like, you get organic chicken at Whole Foods or something, and the regular chicken from somewhere else may have come from the same place, but they charge you more for it at Whole Foods. And that really grinds my gears. I know if you're still watching right now and you haven't checked out, you're a diehard and you really support what we're doing, and I can't express to you how important you are, because we wouldn't be able to do any of this if it wasn't for you. And even if you're a vegetarian or you don't have any intention on getting meat, if you click on the link and just browse around, that counts as the metric that they measure that determines whether or not they renew with us. So anything helps. The more consistent we can have good advertisers in videos, the quicker we can get our projects done.